What's good, everyone? Welcome back. We'll go straight into the story, which is paranormal activity. Yeah, this one, I don't know how to feel about this one, but 20th Party Congress, where he poised to secure a norm breaking third term in power, Xi struck a confident tone, highlighting China's growing strength and rising influence under his first decade in power. But he's also repeatedly underscored the risk and challenges the country faces, describing the past 5 years as highly unusual and extraordinary. Xi said, she, Xi said Xi said the ruling Communist Party has led China through a grim and complex international situation and huge risks and challenges that came one after another. The very first challenges Xi lists were the COVID-19 pandemic, Hong Kong and Taiwan, all of which he claimed China had come away from victorious. The Chinese government Xi, Xi said CSAT had protect people's life and health from COVID, turned Hong Kong from chaos to governance, and carried out major struggles against independence forces in the islands of Taiwan, a self-governing democracy Beijing claims at its own territory despite having never controlled it. Wen T-song, a political scientist with the Australia National University Taiwan Study Program, said Xi's decisions to flag the Taiwan's issue early on his speech was a departure from previous speeches and conveys a newfound urgency on making progress on the Taiwan issues. She won the loudest and longest applause from the nearly 2,300 hand-picked delegates inside the Great Hall of People when he spoke about Taiwan again later in the speech. He said China would strive for peaceful reunification, but then gave a grim warning, saying we will never promise to renounce the use of force and we reserve the option of taking all measures necessary. The wheels of history are rolling on towards China reunification and the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. Complete, complete reunification of our country must be realized. She said to thundering applause. She also underscored the rapid changes in the international situation, a thinly veiled reference to the fraying ties between China and the West, which have been further strained by Beijing tacit support for Moscow following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He said China has taken a clear cut stand against power politics and never wavered in opposition to annihilarism and bullying, in an apparent jab at what Beijing views as a U.S. led world order that needs to be dismantled. Laying out broad direction for the next 5 years. Xi said China would focus on high quality education and innovation to renew growth. In the country crisis hit economy, China will speed up efforts to achieve greater self reliance in science and technology. He said in comments that come just months after his damaging crackdown on the country private sector and major tech companies. He also vowed to speed up efforts to build the People's Liberation Army (PLA) into a world-class military, pledging to improve the PLA ability to safeguard national sovereignty and build strategic deterrence. He also urged the PLA to strengthen its training and improve its ability to win. Xi, Xi's speech was peppered with the Chinese term for security, which was mentioned about 15 times. He called national security the foundation of rejuvenation, rejuven, rejuvenation of the Chinese nation and urged enhancing security in military, economy, and all aspects, both at home and abroad. Another point of focus was masserism and ideology. I don't think there will be any realization of the ideological atmosphere in the coming 5 years, said Victor Xi, an expert on elite Chinese politics and at the University of California. Daley Yang, a political scientist at the University of Chicago, said the direction laid out in Xi's opening speech were a continuation of his previous policy by emphasizing the challenges and struggle. He said, is it justifies the need for a strong party and its great leader. The week-long Congress kicked-off on Sunday morning amid heightened security, escalated zero-COVID restrictions, and a frenzy of propaganda and censor, censorship censorship. The Communist Party most consequential meeting in decades, the Congress is set to cement Xi's status as the China's most powerful leader since late Chairman Mao Zedong, who ruled until his death aged 82. It will also have a profound impact on the world as he doubles down on an assertive foreign policy to boost China's international clout and rewrite the U.S.-led global order. The meetings will be mostly held behind closed doors throughout the week when delegates remerge at the end of the Congress next Saturday. They will conduct a ceremonial vote to rubber stamp the work report and approve changes made to the party constitution, which might bestow Xi with new titles to further strengthen his power. The delegates will also select the party new Central Committee, which will hold its first meeting the next day to appoint the party top leadership. The Politburo and its standing committee, following decisions already hashed out behind the scenes by party leaders before the Congress. The Congress will be a major moment of political triumph for Xi, but it also comes during a period of potential crisis. Xi's insistence on an uncompromising zero-COVID policy has fueled mounting public frustration and crimped economic growth. Meanwhile, diplomatically, his no-limits friendship with Russia President Vladimir Putin has further strained Beijing ties with the West following Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. In the lead-up to the Congress, officials across China drastically ramped up restrictions to prevent even minor COVID outbreaks, imposing sweeping lockdowns and increasingly frequent mass COVID tests over a handful of cases. Yet infections caused by the highly transmissible Omicron variant have continued to flare. On Saturday, China reported nearly 1,200 infections, including 14 in Beijing. Public anger towards zero COVID to the fourth Thursday in an exceptional rare protest against Xi in Beijing. Online photos show two banners were unfurled on a busy overpass denouncing Xi and his policy before being taken down by police. Say no to COVID tests, yes to food, no to lockdown, yes to freedom, no to lies, yes to dignity, no to cultural revolution, yes to free reform, no to great leader, yes to vote. Don't be a slave, be a citizen. One banner reads, "Go on strike, remove dictator and national traitor Xi Jinping." Read the other. The Chinese public have paid little attention to the party congresses in the past. They have no say in the country leadership's reshuffles or the making of major policies. But this year, many have pinned their hopes on the Congress to be a turning point for China to relax its COVID policy. A series of recent articles in the party mouthpiece, however, suggests that could be wishful thinking. The people daily hail zero COVID as the best choice for the country, insisting it is sustainable and must be followed. On Sundays, he defended his highly contentious, and economically damaging zero COVID policy. In responding to the sudden outbreak of COVID-19, we prioritize the people and their lives above all else. The tenaciously pursued dynamic zero COVID policy in launching all-out people's war against the virus, he said. Uh, Alfred Wu, an associate professor at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy at the National University of Singapore, says the worst signal it is impossible for China to change the zero COVID strategy in the near future. Where do the richest Americans live? Have you checked the newest Forbes 400, the full list of the richest people in America yet? Surprise! Bill Gates, with a net worth of $81 billion, is ranked no one for the 23rd, 23rd year running. Meanwhile, his friend Warren Buffett fell to third place for the first time in 15 years with a net worth of $65.5 billion. Thanks to soaring stock prices of hot tech firms, CEOs at the helm of those companies seem to have been accumulating wealth at a much faster pace than others. Amazon.com CEO Jeff Bezos gained $20 billion to boost his net worth to $67 billion, making him the second richest person in the U.S. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg jumped into fourth place, his highest rank ever, with a net worth of $55.5 billion. However, Oracle founder Larry Ellison landed at no 5 for the first time since 2007. His net worth is $49.3 billion. Standing on the no sixth spot is the former New York City mayor, Michael Bloomberg, CEO of the eponymous firm Bloomberg LP, who has a net worth of $45 billion. These six richest multi-billionaires have a combined of $63.3 billion at their withdrawal, most of which is still held at stake in the companies they found. However, part of their fortune is vested in real estate. Mr. Gates, for one, owns a Washington mansion worth about mansion worth about $170 million, several horse ranches across the U.S., and share in some luxury hotel chains through his private investment firm, Ca- Cascade. Here, take a look at the residences in the six richest moguls call home. 81 billion home, Medina, Washington. Mr. Gates, 60, spent most of his time at his 66,000 square foot Medina, Washington mansion, nicknamed Xanadu 2.0 after the titled character estate in Citizen Kane. The mansion overlooks Lake Washington. It took Mr. Gates 7 years and 63.2 million to build this house, which is filled with lots of high-tech features. He purchases the lot for 2 million in 1988, but it's now worth an estimate $170 million according to public records. Mr. Jeff Bezos, 67 billion, home, Medina, Washington. Mr. Bezos, 52, in the process of building his e-commerce empire, scooped up a vast amount of real properties over the years, earning him the no 26th spot on the land report list of America's largest landowners last year. In terms of residences, he has a 165-acre ranch in West Texas, a waterfront house in Washington State, 3 linked apartments in Manhattan Century Tower, and a 12,000 square foot Beverly Hills estate that boasts Tom Cruise as a neighbor, according to Forbes. His home at Medina, Washington, close to Amazon headquarters, boasts at 5.35 acres, I guess, at about 29,000 square foot of living space. Aside from the main house, there's also a caretaker cottage and a 4,500 square foot boat house on Lake Washington. Okay, so Warren Buffett worth 65.5 billion in home, Omaha, Nebraska. Restorations. She has a couple of projects in the pipeline. She'll be next seen in It's All Coming Back to Me. Ending things, she has a Farham Bollywood film, and alongside Alia Bhatt and Katrina Kaif. BTS Jin leaves army speechless as he visits flea market in expensive shearling jacket costing 5.19 lakh. Mr. Worldwide Handsome never misses. It doesn't matter where he's going, Jin always look his best. Be it a formal gathering or a casual meetup, the BTS members' fashion will surely be on point. While that is true for all occasions, the global star has his choice style even when he is visiting a flea market. The singer will manage to turn even a place like that into his personal runway. For those who may not know, Seokjin was recently spotted at the Ganghwa flea market with chef Big Jong Won. Pics of them posing with the vendors there went viral on social media. These two were seen trying to shop for various items. The attention was on the fact that there were cameras around them. Now, cameras can only mean one thing. We have another very show appearance on the way. Army was quick to point out that this can be for Jongwon's YouTube series, Go to Market, in which he introduced markets all over the country, and he's got the idol as the next guest. In the pics, Jean can be seen sporting a denim fur jacket over a half turtleneck shirt and blue trousers to complete his look. We have to say his style was quite the standout here. Take a look at the photo. Fans will remember seeing the BTS member in this jacket before, but if you are intrigued by it and would like to have it in your wardrobe as well, let us warn you, it will not come easy. That is a shearling line oversized fit denim jacket made in Italy straight from Bottega Veneta. It cost a whooping like a lot. So yes, that is indeed the price of that jacket. It blew our minds for real, but like always, what matters is Jim pulled it off with ease. In fact, he took it up a notch. Mamamoo to soon embark on a world tour surprises fans with an announcement. Fans of the K-pop group Mamamoo are having the time of their lives. After making a comeback with a new album, the ladies are now all set for something else as well. Yes, they are still have a lot more in store for everyone. For those who don't know, the band dropped their 12th mini album titled Make On and on October 11 along with the music videos for the title track. They left everyone awestruck awestruck by showcasing a different side in the MV. The latest news is that Mamamoo will soon embark on a world tour while the speculative announcement for the same was made back in June. The confirmation comes now. Back then, it was said that the tour will happen in the later half of the year. Since we are way into October, it only makes sense that the details have been dropped now. The update was shared by none other than the members themselves. During their recent comeback showcase, the girls spoke about the album as well as their future schedule. We plan to finally meet the world 8 years after our debut, Solar added. The RBW Entertainment Group also revealed that they were planning for the tour a long time back, but COVID happened and it got postponed. They further add that since it is finally happening now, they cannot wait to be able to meet international fans as well. As for the details of the date and stops, they will be revealed in the coming days. We only got the confirmation announcement, but let us agree that even this for now will do. As much as fans eagerly await all the information, they are super excited about the tour as it was long in the process. Stay tuned for more updates. K-pop group Jidol call out an antis in teaser for Dark X-File from upcoming album I Love Watch. Jidol tackles issues in the most creative ways, be it with their lyrics or concepts. The K-pop girl group has never failed to impress netizens with their bold statements, taking a dig at haters in their latest teasers for their upcoming album. The girl group seems to have a lot to say. In case you missed out, Jidol are set to make a comeback with their fifth mini album, I Love. This marked their first comeback in almost 7 months. Following the release of their first full-length album, I Never Die, in March this year, I Never Die was the group's first comeback as the quintet following the sudden departure of former members Sojin. Even so, the group's popularity remained unaffected. Writing off the massive success of their previous album, the girl group seemed to be addressing rumors made during the times when they were on a hiatus and lost a member. In the latest teaser for their upcoming album, members are seen sipping drinks and reading articles about them. From tense to speculation about their future, the girl group faced massive backfl- backlash last year, showing a sense of vulner, vulnerable, vulner, vulnerability in Dark X-File. The girls weren't afraid to speak about their past. Take a look at the stunning teaser. Earlier this year, during her appearance on NBC popular reality show I Live Alone, Jidol leader So-young said she wanted the group's upcoming comeback to reflect the quote, "I'd rather be hated for being myself than be loved as someone I am not." And it seems the girl group are trying to convey So-young ideas for their upcoming release. Meanwhile, the girl group recently wrapped up a major portion of their first world tour, Just Me, Idol, kicking off on June 17 in Seoul. Jidol tour across Asia, North America, and Latin America. What is China Communist Party Congress and why does it matter? Xi Jinping is poised to cement his role as China's most powerful leader in decades this month, when members of the country's ruling Communist Party meet for twice a decade leadership reshuffle. In recent years, these meetings have seen a streamlined transfer of power. The convention is for the top party leader having completed the two 5-year terms to pass the baton to a carefully chosen successor. But this year, Xi is expected to smash that precedent, taking on the third term as General Secretary of the party and pitching China into a new era of strongman rule and uncertainty over when or how the country would see another leader. As a result, the 20th Party Congress is almost the most consequential and closely watched party meetings in decades, and will reveal much about the direction of the world's second-largest economy for the next 5 years. Here's what you need to know about the events and how China chooses its leaders. What is the Party Congress? The Chinese Communist Party National Congress, known simply as the Party Congress, is a roughly week-long conclave that meets once every 5 years to appoint new leaders, discuss changes to the party constitution, and lay out a policy agenda for the country. The Congress itself, typically held in October or November, convenes nearly 2,030 100 carefully selected Communist Party members, called delegates from around the country. These delegates range from top provincial officials and military officers to professionals across sectors and the so-called grassroots representative like farmers and industrial workers. Just over a quarter are women. while about 11% come from ethnic minorities, according to figures released ahead of this year's Congress. Unveiled students returned to school for the first time after a mass shooting that killed 20, 21st. I want to just shelter her as a mom, just keep her home. But of course I don't want her to live in fear, said the mother of one student in Texas community. Students and teachers returned to school Tuesday in the heartbroken community of Uvalde, Texas, for the first time since 19 children and 2 educators were killed during a mass shooting at an elementary school in May. As children return to the classroom, the town the town continues to mourn those who were killed and demand accountability in deadly shooting at Robb Elementary School, during which law enforcement officers waited more than an hour before entering a fourth-grade classroom where the gunman carried out the attack. The first day brought anguish for parents whose children died in the massacre. Massacre. Stephen Gracia, whose 9-year-old daughter Elena was killed, said he was an emotional wreck Tuesday morning and felt a surge of anger. I couldn't find the tears, but then I thought back to my Ellie and know she wouldn't want me to feel that way, he wrote in a post on social media. Thinking of all the first day of school with my Ellie, no one expects to have to bury their child after leaving them at school, he said in another post. Jennifer Lugo, Ellie's mother, said in a post the night before the first day of school that her stomach was in a big knot, and she was sure the family would be leaving the house with tears and not smiles. I'm missing one of my babies, she said, adding that Ellie loved school and was always excited to get up and get ready with her sister. Kimberly and Felix Rubio, whose daughter Lexi was killed, said ahead of the first day of school that they were frightened for their for their 5 other children. I don't know that the school district has done everything that I would like to see as far as security measures, but I also know it's important for the kids to have some sort of routine, so trying to balance what's best for them, Kimberly said. Lexi has been on her mind, she said, and meeting her youngest son's teacher was incredibly difficult. It's incredibly difficult to go on campus knowing that Lexi is not going to be meeting a teacher this year, Kimberly said. Students across the state were marooned to school Tuesday as part of the UVA community. Robb Elementary has not reopened since the shooting, and its surviving student has been scattered to different schools in the area. The school district also added virtual options this year for parents who didn't feel comfortable sending their children back into classroom. Parents arriving at some local school Tuesday morning were greeted with taller fences, increased security and cameras, a large law enforcement presence, more counselors, and even emotional support dogs. Outside Dalton Elementary School in Uvalde, Esther said that one of her children had attended Robb Elementary at the time of the shooting and had received counseling because she was traumatized. But Natalie, whose children are 7 and 8 years old, says she felt safer with the added security measure. I'm on the positive side, so I hope that what happened last year won't happen again, she said. For right now, I think they are in good hands. Pre-kindergarten teacher Belinda Remise says she wasn't nervous about the start of the school year in the shadow of the tragedy. She's happy that school is starting again, but also just a bit sad for the kids, she said. Her nephew attended Robb Elementary last school year. We asked him and he just stayed quiet, so I know he's a bit nervous, but we are happy that school is starting back up, and when we start, I think it will get all everything it will get all better, she said. We have to just continue to move forward. Late last month, Uvalde School Police Chief Pete Arredondo was fired by the Texas City's school board, which voted unanimously to oust him. The embattled chief removed capped 3 months of outrage over the botched law enforcement response to the shooting at Robb Elementary. 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 8 seconds passed from the time police entered the building May 24 until the gunman was killed, Texas Department of Public Safety Director Steve McCraw has said. A scathing report released in July by Texas House Committee investigating the mass shooting found systemic failures and poor decision making by law enforcement and the school district. And her husband Julio have made helping their 10-year-old daughters return to school a priority. The girl, Madison, was at Robb Elementary the day of the shooting. The family has enrolled Madison in a private school, which they say made safety upgrades after the shooting. I want to just shelter her as a mom and just keep her home, but of course, I don't want her to live in fear, she said. Here's what you need to know about Liz Truss, Britain's new leader. Sometime compared to the UK's first female leader, Margaret Thatcher, Truss has also been accused of being a political killman. London as a girl and a young woman, Liz Truss protests against then Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and called for the abolition of the monarchy. Decades later, having risen through the ranks of Thatcher's Conservative Party, Truss, 47, on Tuesday was appointed to the United Kingdom Prime Minister by Queen Elizabeth II. As she headed to No 10 Downing Street, Truss looks eager to rule in the image of the famously blunt and strong-willed iconoclast whose legacy still divides this country. Her victory means she will become the country's third female leader, after Thatcher and Theresa May. The Iron Lady, as Thatcher was known, was the 20th century longest-serving British leader and birthed an ideology, Thatcherism, that still dominates the party with its low tax, high-growth economic liberalism. Serving as primer from 1979 to 1990. When she was forced to resign by her own government, Thatcher was a strident cold warrior and a supporter of free markets, and especially close to President Ronald Reagan, one of Britain's most divisive prime minister, revile and revere in almost equal measure to this day. She's best known for her policies. She's best known for her policy on deregulation, privatizing state-owned companies, and smashing the power of unions. She died in 2013. Whether international or not, observers and the public have pointed out Truss appears to have a habit of recreating iconic Thatcher public appearance. While serving as Foreign Secretary, Truss was accused of consciously mirroring Thatcher by posing in a Challenger 2 tank while visiting British troops in Estonia. A famous picture of Thatcher in the Challenger tank in Germany in 1986. When visiting Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov at the Kremlin in February, she wore a fox for hat that again was compared to that worn by Thatcher on a Russia trip in 1987. During the Conservative leadership contest, Truss wore an outfit strikingly similar to one Thatcher had worn for an election broadcast in 1979, a black blazer and a white shirt with a bow tie at the front. For Truss critics, the similarities to Thatcher's are the best premature and worst ludicrous. I don't think there is anything in it. They're completely different people. Truss supporter Andrea Andino, 55, insisted outside the venue where Truss was announced the new leader of the Conservative Party on Monday. Andino wore a t-shirt in Liz with Truss. She's different. I don't think she will follow Thatcher in any way, she added. Timothy Kirkhope, a Conservative member of the upper chamber of the British Parliament, also dismissed the comparison, but for different reasons. I regard any comparison between Truss and Thatcher as derisory, he said in an email. I worked as a government whip under Margaret Thatcher. She was a colossus in politics. There is absolutely no way that Truss could ever get anywhere near the achievements of Thatcher, he said. Truss herself complained to BBC Radio 4 in July that women tend to get compared to Thatcher whether they resemble her or not. I'm on my own person, she said. James Cleverly, who served as an education minister under Boris Johnson, echoes these sentiments. She's a woman in politics, though comparisons are inevitable, and he said, she is Liz Truss, she's her own person. To those of us who have studied Thatcher, she's hardly in the same league, at least on current form, said Professor Tim Bell, an expert on British politics and the Conservative Party at Queen Mary University of London. While Thatcher was regarded then and now was a conviction politician who embodied her beliefs, Truss had been accused of being a political chameleon, flip-flopping on major policies and criticized for lacking hard and fast principles. She was an activist for the centrist Liberal Democrat Party as a college student. We do not believe people are born to be ruled. She said while arguing passionately for the abolition of the monarchy at the party conference in 1994, a testament to just how far she has traveled politically. Truss campaigned for Britain to remain in the European Union, only flip side and later support Brexit once the country has voted to leave in 2016. The commitment to Brexit and unlocking its supposed benefits is now a core pillar of her platform, an attitude that could lead to a heated and expensive legal battle with the European Union and the Republic of Ireland over the complex of Northern Ireland Protocol. While Truss said during the Brexit referendum campaign that Britain shouldn't spend years in massive divorce from Europe, she may be about to preside over exactly this. Born in Norfolk in 1975, Mary Elizabeth Truss is the daughter of John Kenneth, a math professor at the University of Leeds, and Priscilla Truss, a nurse. In the biography section of her website, she described her parents as left-wing. When she was 4, the family relocated to Paisley, a town near Glasgow in Scotland. They moved again in 1985 to the northern English city of Leeds in West Yorkshire. Truss frequently refers to herself as a Yorkshire woman, a falsy attempt to contract her upbringing with the largely affluent Southern English background of many Conservative members and activists. Throughout her leadership campaign, Truss said her vision of conservatism was inspired by seeing fellow students at the local public high school struggling in an overly bureaucratic filling system. Many of the children I was at school with were let down by low expectations, poor education standards, and a lack of opportunity, she said at her leadership launch July 14. Former student and staff at Raleigh and also local politicians dispute trust portrayal, accusing her of unfairly meddling the school for political gain. It is located in one of the most affluent areas of Leeds and it certainly could never be described fairly as a sink school, he said via email, referring to British terminology for a failing and underachieving school. Her contentions about her deprived background as the daughter of the university professor are a load of nonsense, Crithope said. After graduating from Oxford in 1969, she abandoned the Liberal Democrats and joined the Conservative Party, the dismay of her left-leaning father. He was quite horrified, she told the Times newspaper in 2012. After college, Truss worked as a graduate trainee accountant for the energy giant Shell and later the telecommunications company Cable and Wireless. In 2000, she married fellow accountant Hugh O'Leary, and they have two daughters. After a youth of on the center-left university prime trust for conservation to the right, I met Tories and I realized that they didn't have two heads and were actually good people, she told the Daily Mail in 2019. Truss stood as a Tory candidate in the election of 2001 and 2005, losing both times. It would take another 5 years before she was finally elected as the MP for South West Norfolk. Truss has served in various cabinet positions since 2012 under the governments of David Cameron, Theresa May, and Johnson. It was under Johnson that she was promoted to foreign minister, one of the most powerful positions in government. Truss was leading the transitions to a post-Brexit trading rim and forging new diplomatic ties. The Conservative Party may have ditched Johnson, but his brand of populism looks set to stay under the new prime minister. She stayed loyal to Johnson. She told the membership that they want to hear on the economy and taxations rather than any hard truths. She is a fierce Brexiteer and an anti-woke warrior, Bell said. Truss may be compared to Thatcher, but her critics believe she has much more in common with her predecessor. I regret that a Liz Truss premiership would be a continuation of the Boris Johnson style, Kipper said. A Truss government would be even more divisive and include individuals who are notable only for their extreme or eccentric view, he said. Steve Bannon expected to face state indictment in New York. The Manhattan DA office had opened an investigation into Bannon in connection with his role in a charity that was supposed to use private funds to build the U.S.-Mexico border wall. Almost 2 years after he received a pardon from President Donald Trump in a federal fraud case, Steve Bannon is expected to face state indictment in New York. In a segment first shared with NBC News on Tuesday night, Bannon said New York has now decided to pursue phony charges against me 60 days before the midterm election. This is nothing more than a Persian political weaponization of the criminal justice system, added Bannon, who once was the chief White House strategist in the Trump administration. The statement came after the Washington Post, citing people familiar with the situation, reported that Bannon planned to surrender Thursday. NBC News has asked the Manhattan District Attorney Office for comment. The District Attorney Office last year opened an investigation into Bannon in connection with his role in a charity that was supposed to use private funds to build the U.S.-Mexico border wall. NBC News reported in February 2021. The previous year, Bannon was indicted with 3 other people on charges of taking money donated to help build a wall along the southern border. Federal prosecutors alleged that Bannon's "We Build the Wall" campaign, which raised more than $25 million, defrauded hundreds of thousands of donors who contributed to an effort to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border, one of Trump's key campaign promises. Trump pardoned Bannon in January 2021, but presidential pardons apply only to federal charges, meaning New York is not prohibited from pursuing similar charges. I am proud to be a leading voice on protecting our borders, and building a wall to keep our country safe from drugs and violent criminals, Bannon said in Tuesday night's statement. They are coming after all of us, not only President Trump and myself. I am never going to stop fighting. In fact, I have not yet begun to fight. They will have to kill me first. Separately, Bannon was convicted of contempt of Congress after he refused to answer questions from the House January 6 committee. A jury found him guilty on 2 counts of contempt of Congress in July. A woman jumped from a moving car after being kidnapped by a man who asked for water, authorities say. Jeremy Alaska, 31, is accused of holding the woman at knife point in Washington state. Authorities in Washington state identified a suspect Tuesday who they say carjacked a woman and held her at knife point until she escaped by jumping from a moving car. The woman had given water to Jeremy Alaska, 31, after he approached her vehicle asking for some in an incident that began in Vancouver, Washington, early Saturday, the Clark County Sheriff's Office said in a news release. Alaska is expected to be charged with kidnapping, robbery, and attempt eluding after he fled from officers, the sheriff's office said. The woman, who has not been identified, told authorities after she gave Alaska water, she allowed him into her car. Alaska produced a knife and used the threat of violence to take control of the car, the release alleged, adding that he drove roughly 15 miles to the city of Camas. Alaska slowed down on a dirt road, authorities said, and the woman jumped from the car and started banging on the doors of the nearby homes. A resident, James Wood, told NBC affiliate KGW of Portland, Oregon, that he and his family awoke around 4:30 a.m. to the sound of a woman pounding on the back door of his home and moving the doorknob. She was desperate to get in, which I can't understand, Wood told the station. She told me that someone tried to kill her and someone stole her car. Was told the station that he called 911 after deputies searched the area and found the car. The driver fled, according to the release. 11 minutes later, and about 8 miles away, authorities from the sheriff's office and the Vancouver Police Department were able to pin the car. And the release says Alaska was taken into custody after he tried to flee the vehicle. The release says he refused to provide his name and was identified through other names. The sheriff's office says it wasn't immediately clear whether he has a lawyer to speak on his behalf. Police say that they have found.
Turning now to breaking news in the investigation of that missing Memphis jogger and mother of 2. Police confirmed today the body of 34-year-old Eliza Fletcher has.
Police say that they have found the remains of missing jogger Eliza Fletcher. Memphis authorities have confirmed a body found during the search for Eliza Fletcher was identified as the 34-year-old woman who was abducted during a run Friday morning. NBC News just Chris reports on the news details police have released and the latest charges against the suspect charged with kidnapping Fletcher. And that is the end for today. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya! Oh, and by the way, all the tips I gave you last time, I hope it worked, because it worked for me, and I think that it worked for most people with average memory. I myself have average memory, and I couldn't learn anything besides English, because I hate everything. I hate every subject besides English. The only thing that I find English is interesting because it was another language. And I hate math. I hate math. I especially hate math, and I don't want to, calculate anything. And I not good at calculating things. So that's why I hate math. And about English is that when I was small, when I was about 9 years old, I watched Disney Channel a lot, and that is when I know I like English, because Disney Channel is all about English. If you don't understand English, so yeah, I watch it, and although I don't understand a word it was saying about what is the movie about and what it's called, I just remember the melody. Phineas the Verb, right? I just remember that the song in the intro song right from the start. I remember the melody, the way they pronounce, but I don't know for sure how they pronounce it. So I just remember the melody and I sing along. So that is when I remember all the stuff and all the words that I accidentally remember by remembering the melody. So when I said that music can help you a lot, I mean it. So if you guys try it, and if you have any, positive resolve, comment below, and follow for more if you like my tips and you find it effective. So yeah, thank you and goodbye. Oh, one more thing. I also like English, and I only good at speaking, and I'm not good at grammar. Yeah, I also not good at grammar. I only good at speaking because I can, mumbling to the sound, and like for example, they sing like what's going on, so I will like ma 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 ma. I remember the sound. I don't remember what they're saying, and I don't know what they're saying, but I remember the sound. So when I grow up, it means when I was in secondary school or something like that, I learned it and I know, oh, so that's what it is, that what it was about, and yeah, that's how I learned it. And I only good at speaking because I remember the basic words, the basic step that they say. For example, hello, how are you? How are you today? You're good? Are you good? How are you today? I'm good. Thank you for asking. Like just basic stuff, and I get better and better through movies. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I got. I don't know if I could help you with that, but I think for myself, I'm getting better, and you have to learn. You cannot learn English without learning it. You know, without actually learning it. So you have to put time and effort into learning stuff, and eventually it will come out great. It will get you a positive result and a, a very good result that you want. So don't give up and don't lose trust in yourself, especially when you find it hard. Just took a break. Just take a break and get some air, go outside, have fun with your friends for a day if you're feeling stressed about studying stuff. And after that, you get it together and yeah, just study, dude. That's it.